to the Seattle Storm, who hosted, the first 3 games of a 4-game homestand. I'm stumbling a little bit here. First 3 games of a 4-game homestand here at Climate Pledge Arena started with the Connecticut Sun, a loss 69-81. Very unfortunate because it's not like the Storm played horrible. They started off well, and then things kind of fell apart after a big second quarter for the Sun. You'll see our photo of the game here by Chris Liu. Our play of the game in this August 8th loss, center Ezi Magbegor. Ezi, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. So a tough one there to begin the homestand snaps. There was no winning streak because the Storm had gone down to Phoenix and beat the Mercury before this home game started, so they weren't able to make it 2 in a row. August 10th, though, the Storm would get back into the win column, beating the Atlanta Dream with a fiery comeback. It was a physical game throughout the first 3 quarters, lots of fouls. Seattle had really shot the ball poorly, and Atlanta hadn't shot the ball much better. But a big comeback in the fourth quarter, including 7 minutes of holding Atlanta scoreless, meant that the Storm were able to get back in this game, and they win it by a point. Our play of the game, once again, Ezi Magbegor, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And just because she's our player of the game doesn't mean that someone else didn't have a great game. As you can see here in this photo by Matthew Bermudez, Jewel Lloyd had a nice and important impact down the stretch for this Storm team, including a big 3-pointer and 1, as you can see in this photo here, and then a driving layup and 1 to wait. Yes. No. Well, at least the driving layup gave the Storm their first lead of the game. So that was the first win. The second win in a row for the Storm was against those Phoenix Mercury that they played a few games ago on WNBA rivalry night. Our Storm would come out victorious 81-71. A nice first half for the Storm in this one. A little bit of a lull in the third quarter, which we have unfortunately seen throughout the course of the season. But they were able to pick things up, turn them around, and close this game out in the fourth quarter. Our play of the game guard, Jewel Lloyd. Jewel, 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. And our photo of the game here by Liz Wolter. Ezi, another great game. It was her birthday that day. She turned 24 years old. I almost said 24 points. Not correct. Let's talk about Ezi. She is our player of the week. Ezi, over the course of the past 3 games, 14.6 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, 1 steal, and 2.3 blocks per game on the past week of games, 3-game set to begin a 4-game homestand. So it's very interesting to see that the Storm team has won 5 of their last 7. Their second half has been good. If we measured just the second half, they'd be in a playoff spot, but it's not how that works. They're doing all this. We'll get to these 2 pieces of news, and you already saw a little bit of it, but they're doing this without some key players that, played significant roles throughout the first half. Well, one of them played a significant role through the first half of the season. The other had just been finding her stride. And we are seeing here, it's very good to see the development of some of these young players, what we talked about at the beginning of the season. And through the course of the season, Jordan Horson is back in the starting lineup. Jade Melbourne's getting important minutes and has been entrusted with those down the stretch. So that's important for this team. Dulcie has been starting for a while now. So a lot of that draft class is really factoring in, funny enough, after the Storm really haven't had a rookie on their team the last few years. So it's important to see them make this progress. They're doing better in the paint as of lately. Got to work on the turnovers. That's not been so great. They shot over 50% from the field in that win over the Mercury. So positive building blocks into the next season is what I'm looking for from the Storm throughout the rest of the year. And they're doing that so far. There are going to be moments where they lapse, sure, but it's encouraging to see, and it makes it more fun. So we look here, the injury report versus the Sun was clean, but during that game in the second quarter, Gabby Williams left the game with a left foot injury. It would be announced the next day that she suffered a left foot fracture and will miss 4 to 6 weeks, effectively ending her season as the Storm close out the regular season on September 10th. So unfortunate to have lost Gabby to injury here. She had dealt with a concussion with her team in France before she joined the Storm this season. So it's not really been a good physical year for Gabby. Sheesh. And it's also unfortunate, too, because she had just been finding her stride on the offensive side of the ball. But she has been around the last 2 games to support her teammates, which is very nice. The injury report versus the Dream and Mercury would be clean outside of Williams. She will be on the injury report for the rest of the year, but it's not like she's going to be able to play. On the 10th of August, the team released point guard Ivana Dojkic, allowing her to begin preparations for her upcoming season of competition in Europe, which is interesting. Dojkic hadn't been getting very many minutes in the weeks prior to this announcement, and it sounded like this was not something that the Storm were aware of, this overseas commitment, and so it opens up a roster spot. It hasn't been filled yet. The Storm haven't decided to fill that out yet. When asked about it, it sounded like they're happy with the group that they currently have, but I wouldn't doubt that Seattle goes out and kicks the tires on a player down the course of the rest of the season. So we're down to the last 9 games of the regular season for the Storm. They sit at a 9-win, 21-loss record, 10th in the league, 5th in the Western Conference. Looking ahead, they close out this 4-game homestand with a battle against the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota, a team that struggled heavily to begin the season, but has now found themselves much better at this current point in time. I believe they sit in a playoff spot. Their next game, August 18th versus Minnesota, a 7 p.m. Pacific time tip-off. That is on Ion. And then game 2 of this upcoming week, first game on the road, is also against the Minnesota Lynx on August 20th. That's a 4 o'clock start. That is on NBA TV and Amazon Prime Video if you are in the state of Washington.